think we really have been seeing a lot of the repricing in the Fed when the Fed is going to cut, and that's really what we have seen in terms of a prolonged USD strength. But not necessarily it means that we actually seeing the export cycle to turn. I think there's still a lot of weakness in terms of demand. I mean, for now, in terms of the trade recovery, it's still very much limited to the tech cycle, and within the tech cycle, it's still very much limited to the AI-powered chips here. For the others, we still haven't really seen a meaningful pickup in terms of the final demand in the U.S., in the EU, and China's demand is finally picking up to a certain extent. But I think if we look at the ASEAN's combined export exposure to all these three markets, the U.S., the EU share still actually are larger than China's share here. So we're still not out of the woods yet.
One thing that Minister Sumedi actually told me also when we spoke to him is that he's expecting one of their strategies is to try to pivot and increase and lean more towards intra-ASEAN trade. But again, a lot of the economies here not exactly on a very even set footing with regards to the economic and exports recovery. Do you think that will be enough actually to offset some of the headiness we've seen from countries like Indonesia, Thailand, even here in Singapore, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely will provide some of the support, but I think we also need to look at the breakdown of what that kind of products are. And a lot of it is, I mean, in terms of value add, I think the higher value add was still actually from outside of ASEAN, from the US, from the EU. So it will, probably put a floor under where export can recover, but it's not going to turn the whole tide.
And the other thing we look at when we look at how far these currencies have depreciated actually is the fact that some of these central banks in Southeast Asia are at a deficit against the upper end of the Fed funds range, actually, the likes of the ringgit and the Thai baht. Correct. No surprise, they're two of the worst performing currencies at the moment. Is this if the Fed stays higher for longer and these deficits persist, what kind of negative externalities might this have actually for these economies, not just with regards to the currency and their directions?
Well, I mean, correct. I think, in terms of this repricing of the Fed rate hikes, the Fed rate cuts here, it really, kind of delays a lot of ASEAN central banks' rate cut decisions here. But I think for a lot of them, I mean, until we see a meaningful turn in, when the Fed is going to ease, there will probably a lot of, prolonged weakness in Asian currencies that we will just have to see. And especially in terms of the trade recovery here, we're still very much at a nascent stage. So that current account, the support comes from current account, will be very limited for now.